You join me at the Manor Carp Fishery in the Test Valley, which for those of you that don't know, is home to the biggest fully scaled carp in the UK, if not in Europe. This fish has been caught at over 63 pounds. It is the end of June and we have got 5 nights ahead of us. I am fortunate enough to have the lake to myself, and unbelievably, this fish is yet to have been caught this year. Spawning is well out of the way, and they should hopefully be hungry and on the lookout for bait. By this point last year, that fish I think had been caught 4 or 5 times, so the fact that we've got this far in the year and it is yet to see the bank is hard to believe, but it is still out there. People have been seeing it. I was here a couple of months ago with Corder filming the underwater, and we did get a glimpse of it on one of the test cameras. You know, lads who have been here in the week since have seen it, so it is out there waiting to be caught. I cannot describe how much I am looking forward to this week. You know, having that carp in that pond in front of me and the lake to myself is a very, very rare opportunity. Not only that, we have 2 more trips planned throughout July. So the plan is to, you know, get a bit of bait in the pond and try and build something up and get something going. But who knows, we might even get lucky this week. It feels that good for it. I've been out in the boat already. You know, we've been fortunate enough that he's letting people use boats. He hasn't in the past, but this year it is very weedy, so he's letting you use boats to go out there, find spots, drop H blocks, etc., and then you've just got to clip up to them and cast to them. I've sort of had this plan in my mind from the start that I'm going to target the middle of the pond, because the little bit of research I've done on this lake, obviously I've spoke to Daryl who caught this fish last autumn. I've spoke to a few other people. As I mentioned before, I was here a couple of months ago with Corder, and that fish does love the middle of the pond. I did arrive here a little bit earlier than Scott did with the cameras this morning, so I have already been out. I have already found a couple of areas with a boat. I've got H blocks out there, so we're going to go out there now and I'm going to talk to you about the areas that I've found and how I plan to fish them. We've got the beauty of being able to use the boat. He started letting customers use the boat to find spots, as the lake is very weedy at the minute. So of course I'm taking advantage of that. I'll be totally honest, and before I even got here I already had an idea of where I was going to start. And that was the middle of the pond. Obviously I've spoken to Daryl about this lake. I was here for a short while Corder was filming the underwater this spring, and one thing that is very apparent is that big un gets caught a lot from the middle of the pond, and not just the middle of the pond, that swim over there in particular. And again, you know, the beauty of being here with Corder just a couple of months ago, I sort of knew where there were going to be a couple of fishable areas in the middle. So I came straight out here. I've had a look. I've got my little underwater camera. I've found 2 areas. This one here is sort of the main bar in the middle of the lake. This is pretty fishable. There is a little bit of weed on it. I guess it's a spot that gets fished a lot, but it's one of the few presentable areas out in the middle at the minute. That spot that the 2 H blocks are marking just over there, that is very weedy, but I'm getting a very firm drop amongst the weed. We've got the rest of the week ahead of us, 5 nights and a couple of trips after that. So the plan with that area is to potentially cast a weed rake out there a little bit, well, as much as it needs, and hopefully create an area. Basically, I know that's how Daryl caught it, by creating a new area amongst the weed. A lot of these spots are getting fished week in, week out. We are now at the end of June, and as it stands at the minute, this big one hasn't been caught yet this year. So I feel like doing something slightly differently, i.e. fishing somewhere slightly differently from the norm, could be the edge that we need. There is also another spot at 8 wraps out to the left of the swim, which Justin, who owns the lake, told me about when I got here. A lad caught a few off that spot at the weekend. So that's another option. I feel like tonight I will definitely put a rod in that area, but for the long term, I want to be fishing at least a couple of rods out here towards the middle of the lake. So that first H block, the more orange one that you can see in the distance, that is the shallowest, cleanest bit of the bar. The bit that I'd imagine, looking at the line lay, coming from the swim, everybody is fishing. That there, the orange block, marks the back of the bar. It's slightly deeper, it's sort of the end of the gravel, that is, before it hits the soft stuff. But just short of that H block, the weed starts sort of halfway between them two blocks. I could obviously fish the blatant area, but I feel like if I could clean the bottom up here, just off the back of the, I mean, that's really nice. It's firm, but not cracking down like it would be on gravel, like really hard gravel. Just got to, there you go, now we're on really hard gravel. I mean, obviously this spot does do bites, it's probably done the fully, but I like the idea of fishing something slightly different, especially knowing that's how Darryl caught it. Those new spots, if you can create new spots amongst the weed where the fish aren't used to getting fished for, they can be absolutely devastating. You know, it takes a little bit of time and effort, obviously, with a weed rake, but eventually, over time, the fish will, of course, clean it off themselves as they feed on the bait. I just feel like that could be a little bit of an edge, that. So I've just clipped up to the first spot, which is the right-hander. I've not put it round the sticks yet, so I don't know exactly how far it is. But I've decided, at least for tonight, and probably for this trip, I am just going to fish on the clean gravel on that spot. Although the back of the bar does feel really nice, it is weedy, and I feel like trying to clear that spot and this spot, the middle spot, this afternoon, A, we're going to run out of time, and B, it's going to create a hell of a lot of disturbance. I'm sure we will catch carp off the top of that clean bar. Only thing is, the gravel is, because I've seen it through the camera, and you can feel it through the rod, the gravel is very large, very coarse, which is not my favourite type of gravel, put it that way. I do feel like you could potentially struggle with presentation over that type of coarse gravel. But it's a spot, it's out amongst the weed, it's fishable, and I'm sure that with a little bit of bait, over the course of these, you know, these 3 trips, they will clean off the back area of that bar. But yeah, I'm just casting to the side of the H block where I know the clean spot is. I've had quite a few casts, just slightly adjusting the clip each time until the lead is landing on the very best, cleanest bit, which it should be on now. Oh, that's the one. That's the one. See, you won't see on there, but the gravel is very, very coarse. It actually feels horrible through the rod teeth. But I've got no doubt in my mind that they feed on that area. Right, so the opening gambit is to go in with quite a lot of bait. Not a ridiculous amount. I'm probably going to go for about 4 or 5 kilos over each spot. I've got a load of boilies with me. I've got a bucket of sweet corn. I've actually got a load of tins of sweet corn as well. This is just the stuff you get frozen in the bags, but what I've done, I've put it in some water with a load of rock salt just to make it a little bit more attractive. Got a load of pellets here, a mixture of sort of carp pellets and high oil trout pellets. So yeah, that's the sort of opening plan of attack. Load of boilies, bit of sweet corn, bit of pellet, spread over all 3 spots, and we'll go from there. It's the, well, I say the middle of summer, it's the beginning of summer. The fish have spawned, and I'm not shy to give them a little bit of bait. I'm sure that 60 pounder eats loads of bait, so I'm going to give it loads of bait. Right, so this is the last spot that I'm baiting now. This is the short spot out to the right that apparently did a few bites at the weekend. I'm not going to bait this one quite as heavy as I have done the other 2, mainly because I just feel like this is somewhere I'm just putting the 3rd rod. All my confidence, or most of my confidence, is out there amongst the weed towards the middle of the lake. But I'm not going to ignore this zone, because so many times I've sort of ignored short spots and they've turned out to be bankers. But quantity wise, this one I'm putting maybe 1 kilo of pellets around the float, a few handfuls of corn, and maybe 1.5 kilos of boilies, whereas I've probably put double that on the 2 open water spots. I've just got a feeling out there amongst the weed, we're going to get a lot of fish traffic. You know, fish are generally hungry at this time of the year. I'm sure that 60 pounder gets through a lot of bait, and apparently the lads have been catching them recently over a lot of bait. So what is probably 4 or 5 kilo a rod doesn't seem like a lot to me. You know, it feels like a nice amount, and even if we don't catch one in the morning, we have got all week, and I want a bit of bait out there, you know, something that they're going to see. You know, basically they're not going to miss that, are they? But like I say, still put plenty of bait on this spot, but not quite as much, maybe half the quantity, because if I'm going to end up moving any rod, it'll probably be this one. So, these are the rigs that I've decided to go in with tonight. I've gone for pop-ups on all 3 rods. Reason for that is, I'm not 100% sure about exactly how clean the spots are. The right hand spot, which is the cleanest, I have put my underwater camera down there, and there is little bits of weed over the gravel still. Obviously the middle rod, I raked it, and although I am getting a good clean drop now and a bit of a pullback, again, I'm still not 100% sure exactly how clean it is. And the left hand spot, it's not gravel, it's like firm mud, that's what it feels like. But it's a very small spot, and again, seeing how weedy the lake is, there's a lot of dead weed on the bottom. I just know with that pop-up that I'm going to be presented. As long as I get that drop, I'm going to be presented over whatever it lands on. The rig itself is fished on a lead clip, and I've got 5 inches of 50-pound snag leader. Now, I really like using that as a boom. Obviously, it's not designed to be used as a boom. It is, of course, a mono snag leader, but it's super strong and it's a little bit more supple than boom. So if it does sit over a little bit of weed or debris, it's more likely to sort of settle better, should I say. But yeah, 5 inches of 50-pound snag leader is the boom. Obviously, it's fished, you know, spinner style to the new straight point hooks in a size 4. Little D-rig kicker on the back, medium D-rig kicker that is. And then hook bait wise, now I was a little bit unsure on what to do with the hook baits. I do like a little pink one, but when I was here in the spring in Corda, we're filming the underwater, the lake was a lot clearer then, but they were noticeably shy of the higher tracked hook baits. So I've gone for a sort of match the hatch pop-up. That's actually a Stogelman's Pilgrim Corp ball, which doesn't exactly match my bait. The bait I'm using is the LTK from Oxford Carp Baits, but it's very similar. It's a brown coloured fish meal, and although it is sort of match the hatch, especially in terms of colour, I feel the fact that it is stood up 1.5 inches off the deck will make it stand out anyway. To be honest, The way I've baited so tight with quite a lot of bait, I would prefer to use a bottom bait, but for now I'm going to go in with the pop-ups just because, like I say, they guarantee presentation. But yeah, all 3 rods are exactly the same, and I'm going to get them out there now. So that is the first rod out there. I'm just making sure the braid is nice and slack. I've decided to go in with braid because, to be honest, I love fishing with braid at any time because of how accurate it is, and obviously these spots are very small amongst the weed. I want to ensure that I am fishing as well as I can be on those very small spots. But also when playing fishing weed, I just feel like you've got a lot more chance of landing them with the braid. Whereas the other option is fluorocarbon, which obviously sinks very well, but it does worry me slightly because it can bed down into the weed, which could cause an issue when it comes to actually landing any fish. So yeah, I've gone with a braid, but it is essential, especially on a small pond like this, where I'd imagine the fish are very, very clued up, to just make sure you sink it as well as you can. Of course, the beauty of that sub braid is it does sink very well. Now I've got muddy toes. That's the one. That's the one. So nothing to report as of yet. In fact, it was a very quiet night last night. I had a couple of liners on the middle rod, but yeah, no bites as of yet. But I'm just stood in the swim to the left of where I'm fishing. It's just a little sort of gap in the reeds, and there are a lot of fish in front of this swim short. They're bubbling up now. I've been watching them for the last half an hour or so. There seems to be multiple fish coming in here and ripping the bottom up. Only maybe 6 wraps out. I mean, I can see 2 separate patches of bubbles coming up now, but at times there's been 3 or 4 patches of bubbles here. So I'm already thinking about putting a rod here tonight. I'm not going to do it now because the rods are in position, and from what I've heard, sort of the main bite time has been 8 till 2 in the afternoon, so sort of late morning, early afternoon, and it is only 8:15 now, so we're only just coming into that period. So I don't want to jump the gun, move one of them rods and then the fish turn up on me. But if nothing happens today, I'm definitely going to put a rod here tonight. Oh, hang on. I think we're away. Yeah, I'm in. Scott. Well, it's clear of the weed. We are into our first fish. Just had a bit of a drama with a left-hander. Got picked up by a mallard. Literally recast it. And not long after putting the rod down, the middle rod was away. This is actually the spot that I raked yesterday. So even more pleased to get one off this spot. I did see a bit of bubbling out there this morning, and just before I had the bite, I did think I saw a bit of bubbling out there. There you go, I can see him now. Oh, come on, first one. Oh, he didn't like that. Oh, I'm away on that. Just leave it, just leave it. Yeah. I'm actually... What, picking it up? I just see it splash on the surface, like. Should be all right, mate. There's so much weed out there. Should be good. How about that? A flipping double take. We got this one, hang on. Right, let's get him. No. He should be just weeded up. Yeah, I see the fish splash on the surface. It's not a 60-pound fully. But I know what you mean. How about that? Double take out the blue. Middle of the day. Oh, I've still got the bloody lid on. Such a finicky bite though, wasn't it? Right, that's one. Hopefully the other one's still on the end. I have in the van, but there's one up there by the... Let's just make sure he's still on. I think he's come off. Has he come off? Gonna have to go out and check, ain't we? No, he's got away. Bugger him. That's beautiful, that is, mate. Well, there you go. We are off the mark. I've not weighed this fish, but I reckon 22, 23 pound. So a great start after what looked like a very bleak morning, to say the least. There wasn't a lot going on at all, other than that bit of bubbling in the swim to my left. Did see a little bit of bubbling sort of late morning over the short spot, the left-hander, but then out the blue, midday, the middle rod's gone with this on the end. That's the spot that I raked yesterday. And then as I'm playing this, the right-hand rod's gone, which unfortunately I lost in the weed. The only saving grace is that I did see it hit the surface and it didn't look like a big fish at all. I am kicking myself a little bit because Scott did say he would pick the rod up, but I was pretty confident it was just going to go in the weed and sit there. So I said, no, you know, don't worry about it, just film this one going in the net. Anyway, we've gone out in the boat to rescue the second fish and it was gone. But never mind, like I say, at least it wasn't the big one. But yeah, proves that the tactics are working, the pop-up hook baits are working. Put quite a lot of bait over these two spots yesterday, so they've obviously got through it. The rods are now back out there. I've just put 2 singles out there and the fish are now showing out there. So who knows, we might get another one this afternoon, but if not, I'm gonna wind the rigs in later, put fresh hooks and fresh hook baits out there, same amount of bait, just basically press repeat because all 3 spots have been fed on. We've had a couple of bites. So yeah, it's looking good. Come on the big one. Cheers, mate. Oh no.
Was that the release?
We were going to get a release, but it swam away. I didn't zip the sling up, did I? So, covered in mud, half fell in the lake, and the fish got away. Never mind. We'll get another one, mate. We'll get another one. A bigger one. Right, so as you can probably see, I've had a slight change of plan. I know earlier on I said that I was going to put all 3 rods out in exactly the same positions and just press repeat. Well, I've decided to move the left-hander into where I saw those fish showing and bubbling in this little reedy swim next door this morning. Reason being, firstly, the mallards came back. It's very shallow on that sort of 8 wrap spot that I was initially fishing, and I'd already been picked up once by a mallard, and although I'd actually hooked one, they came back for a second time. Plus coots have been diving on that rod all day. And when I actually reeled the rig in this afternoon, there was a load of particle in the weed that I brought in, which makes me think there is still bait out there from the lad who fished it at the weekend. I know he had a few bites, but from what I can gather, most of his bites were on the first day he fished in there, and he only caught one on the last morning. So now I'm thinking, how much bait is left out there? And I know fish did come and feed on that spot this morning, but it was very briefly. They'd been out here all morning from 7 o'clock, and it got to about 9, half 9, and a couple just drifted across and briefly fed. So it's almost like something is telling me to put the rod here. So I've scrapped that spot. I've put the rod out here instead. I had a little lead about earlier. It's not clean. It's a bit choddy the bottom, but I was getting a really good drop at just over 7 wraps. That's about the range. I mean, they were all over the front of this swim, but that's the range that a lot of them were at. I've changed the rig over to a helicopter. Still got a spinner with a popper pond, but it's on a helicopter just because it'll present a little bit better over that choddy bottom. And I've just fired probably the best part of 1 kilo of boilies around the rig. So slight change for tonight. The other 2 rods are still on the original spots, which both did bites today. Interestingly, there's still a fair bit of bait on the right hand spot, but the rake spot, the spot that actually caught the fish off, obviously the other one I lost, the rake spot had been absolutely smashed. I checked it with my little underwater camera, and although there was a very small amount of bait there was hardly anything in comparison to what I'd put out there. I've also baited a spot over on the far side of the lake where I've seen loads of carp, an area that I feel like could be good for that big one as a backup option. So yeah, all the rods are out now, all the spots are baited. All that's left to do is fire up the barbecue and crack open a beer. Well, good morning. As you can see, we are already into a carp. Typically, Scott was just setting the cache up because it is still early and the right hand rod is away. Feels like a totally different morning this morning. It's overcast, it's a lot cooler. The fish have been very active. I reckon it's about maybe 5 o'clock now. I've been up since 4 and they are showing all over the lake this morning. Total contrast to yesterday where there was very little happening at all. Let me just grab a net, excuse me. Oh. It's not a big one, but it's a bite. Hey, there you go. Lovely looking carp that is. I'm going to get this rod out as quickly as possible because I reckon that could be the first of a few today. As I say, it does feel good for it. Well, there he is, fish number 2. Not a big one, probably an upper double, but a lovely looking carp and a great start to the second day. It is still early. It's probably not even 6 o'clock yet. I managed to get the rod back out first cast and it feels really good for it today. So hopefully we can catch a couple more. The fish are well active They seem well spread out, totally contrasting to yesterday. So yeah, fingers crossed, eh? Cheers. Happy days. Right. Hang on, I've got a bit of movement. I reckon we just go to it. Yeah, rather than risk it.
You take half a step forwards.
To where? It's going to break through the weed now. Slightly better one. Typically, we're out here in the boat and now it's through the weed. Best one yet, I reckon. That's it. Go on. Go on. We got him. Hey.
Do for breakfast.
It will, mate. It's a better one, that is. Not massive, but it's a nice carp. It's right out there, weeded up, see all the bubbles coming up. I don't want to risk it. Felt like a better fish. Sorry, mate. It's a nice carp, that. So we're trying to get rid of some of that bloody weed off the line. Oh, there it is, it's right there. Oh no, 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 no. Got over the top of the bloody net. It's free though. Now I've got the net on the wrong bloody side of me. Right. Shot again. Sorry, mate. Oh, got him. Oh, the drama. Nice carp there.
Oh, we're in, we're in.
Oh,
the other rod's going.
The other rod's away. Shit, sorry, Scott.
Right, what are you doing?
Right, can you sort that fish?
Yeah. I'll put the camera down. I'll sort it out.
Right.
Yep. There we go.
It's all going off. Literally just got back to the bank in the boat from landing that lovely linear, which was hooked on the right hand rod. And as I put one foot out the boat, this left hand rod, the one that I repositioned yesterday and catapulted the boilies over, absolutely melted off. So that is bites on every rod this morning now. What a difference a change in the weather can make. That is a rare thing in carp fishing, to fish 3 rods on 3 different areas and to catch off all of them on the same morning. It's not a bad fish either, you know. I can see him down there. It's another good one, mate. They're getting bigger. They're getting bigger. By the end of the day, we'll have a 65 pounder. If we get this one in the net, we'll have 3 fish in 3 nets, 1 off each rod, all in pretty quick succession. It's not very often you get that. There he is. Come on. Get in that net. Way. Happy days. Looks very similar to the first. Right. So this is the second fish of the morning and the first of that crazy flurry of bites where all 3 rods went. This one came to the middle rod, which is the rake spot, and weighed bang on 23 pounds. A lovely looking carp. I really like him, slate grey. But yeah, things are going rather well. I'll put this one back, and then I've got another one in the net over there that looks very similar. It was actually the last fish I caught, but the second one is a lovely scaly, so we'll save him till the end. But yeah, things are going rather well so far. Oh dear. Oh. And this one was actually the last of that flurry of bites, but we've saved the second one as it's no doubt the best looking. This is another lovely carp though, and probably the biggest of the 3 at just over 25 pounds. Very similar looking to that last one, so no doubt the same strain. And this one came to that left-hand rod that I'd repositioned yesterday after seeing that bubbling and a few shows close in down to my left. So glad I moved that rod now. There we go. I've caught that. Oh. How about that for a lovely carp? The last one from this morning's flurry of bites, and surprisingly it's actually the biggest as well at 26.5 pounds. Mega looking carp that is. I am well pleased with him, and what a morning, eh? 4 bites all in quick succession, all 3 spots have produced. You know, couldn't ask for anything else really. A great start to the trip. We are only 48 hours in. We have still got 3 nights ahead of us. I had to think about that one then. And you may have noticed we have had a change of headwear. The old lucky big carp hat is out. Feels good out there. That big un is swimming about. I feel like we are in a great position here, but I have got a spot baited up the other end where I've seen a few. And interestingly, this morning, I saw a couple of big uns show over towards the car park corner. I'm not saying it was the big un, but there are a handful, I say a handful, a small handful of 40 pound plus fish in this lake, and I'm sure I saw a couple of them jump this morning. And knowing that Daryl caught all 3 of the biggest fish in the lake together, I've got a funny feeling that that big un might be over there. So who knows, a move might be on the cards at some point. But for now, at least for tonight, I think we're going to stay put and hopefully catch a few more and pray that that big un comes along at some point. Ah, what a buzz.